Traffic officials say they will be closely monitoring the country's roads as thousands of holidaymakers head back from various destinations. The Road Traffic Management Corporation has called for responsible driving following the high number of road fatalities over the festive season, particularly in the Eastern Cape. Now, the Road Traffic Management Corporation CEO, Advocate Makhosini Msibi, joins us now for a quick update then. Advocate, won't you just share the readiness that is then for the RTMC heading into what is a return for a lot of people from this festive season?
Well, good morning as well as good morning to the viewers. We are, as the law enforcement, in particularly in the traffic fraternity, we have ensured that our state of readiness, it's up to scratch, informed by the recent unprecedented and unacceptable fatalities that we experience pre-New Year within our roads, in particular in the Eastern Cape. You'll also see that the same has taken its shape within the Free State, Mpumalanga, Limpopo, and Northwest. And to that extent, we have ensured that all traffic law enforcers, together with other law enforcement agencies, had an engagement and began to reprioritize and re-engage as to how do we then deal with this unacceptable situation. To that extent, we have ensured that our visibility and our omnipresence within all major roads, as people will be returning back from their homes, in particularly if you look from the coastal point of view, will be a number of people returning from KZN up to Johannesburg inland and Limpopo in Mpumalanga. So we're ready for them. The same within the coastal point in the Eastern Cape towards the Western Cape, which is a major challenge for us, in particularly the N2 as well as the R61. We are ready, and we have ensured that we massify our law enforcers along those roads. Not only are we going to deal with the issue of the feasibility, but there will be sporadic law enforcement interventions. In particularly, we'll also be dealing with the public transport, which has, of course, increased our numbers in an unprecedented manner. We are equally, because this is the beginning of the weekend, we're equally dealing with the issue of the pedestrians. Because if you look in terms of the number of our fatalities, the pedestrians account for 44% of those that have perished on our roads.
So, Advocate, why is that the case? Why do we have so many fatalities this year? What's changed?
Well, there are a number of variables that are at play or were at play during this festive season. This is one of the festive seasons that we had a high number of people that have been moving from one point to the other. Seemingly, there has been a lot of disposable income, but there were also a number of festivities. If you look in terms of all the provinces, there have been a number of festivities, events, as well as celebrations. But you will recall that the festive season in most of the provinces, in particular in the Eastern Cape, this period dovetails with the period of the initiation graduations, and a number of celebrations finds expression within that issue. If we have looked in the analysis that has given us in terms of those that have attended the beaches, you will see that we had a highest number that we have ever had in the country. And to that extent, the consumption of liquor has been one of the notorious issues that has played a significant role within the fatalities.
Okay, Advocate, then on the other side, there's some research as well from Discovery Insure's Holiday Drive Trends, which has revealed that there's a 26% increase in speeding during this holiday season. Drivers traveling at least 10 kilometers over the speed limit. Do you think that happens because of a lack of law enforcement, a lack of keeping people on the watch and actually looking out for what tourists or people who are driving and motorists should be looking out for?
Well, there are a number of issues. One is the human behavior. The driver behavior in South Africa leaves much to be desired. In fact, the quality of the drivers that we have needs some scrutiny. We are currently doing some investigations in terms of those fatalities that we have to look as to which of our DLTCs are at play here where people found their driver's licenses. But back to the question, if you look in terms of the speeding within our law enforcement, we were the first to accept that there has been a challenge in relation to the validation of our speed equipment. To that extent, it was only dealt with very late towards the end of the year. And the public was aware in terms of those issues. It is on those bases that you found that a number of them were behaving in a particular manner. But there is also another variable. In terms of the Section 56 notices and the articles, there is literally a culture in South Africa of not paying your fines and all this. So therefore, it calls on us as the law enforcers to be now very intentional in causing some inconvenience for our drivers. Now we're going to be pulling a number of people that have warrants of arrest and those that have infringement notices. That we're going to do on a regular basis so as to instill back the culture. A number of people, you will find that they're owing more than 20,000 in terms of the infringement notices. But one of the factors that has not come to the fore is the fact that a number of drivers could not even renew their driver's licenses because of the infringement notices. So you'll then have a number of drivers that are on the road without valid driver's licenses. So these are the issues that we are now beginning to deal with, and hence we're raising the matter of causing a nuisance and inconvenience to our road users.
Does that mean it's time then for a relook at the quality of drivers? You made note of a rehauling and an overhaul really of South Africa's motor and traffic department then in many ways. One, checking on the quality of the drivers. Two, perhaps even adding a demerit system of such, which after a little while makes you lose your license and means you have to retest and the like. Are those any suggestions that you're working on, those and among others?
Well, the article has come into operation. You'll recall that there has been a very concerted effort to frustrate the implementation of the article. It has then been pronounced by the courts of the law of our laws because we have been taken to court, in particular the RTI, the Road Traffic Infringement Agency, together with the RTMC and the department. And we have won that case to then begin to deal with the issue of the demerit system and the implementation of the article is necessarily and at the core of the implementation of the article is to ensure that we then begin to deal with the demerit system, because most of the countries internationally has proven that the demerit system finds expression and it changes the behavior and the culture of the people. If you look in terms of the other countries, take Australia and other countries, you will find that per annum, the maximum fatalities gets to about 300 or 350, as opposed to what we're dealing with in South Africa. We're sitting today on the 32nd day of our festive season, and we're talking about more than 1,000 people that have perished on our roads. It is basically unacceptable.
You spoke about the validation of your speed equipment, and you said that was done very late. How much more work needs to be done in ensuring that you have the correct infrastructure in place, the correct equipment needed to enforce the law as you have needed and wanted to? And is this going down to cost, or are there other factors at play?
Well, it is not within our power. It was with the powers of the regulatory environment. And to that extent, we pleaded and then, of course, welcome the interventions of the minister as well as the relevant ministers in relation to the dealing of that matter, because we can't be the referees and the players. To that extent, the regulatory institutions were at play to deal with this. So the delay was within the regulatory bodies which have come to the party. And to that extent, we're very grateful that we are now back on chat to deal with the issues that we're confronted with.
Advocate, appreciate your time this morning. Certainly a busy one for you. You said earlier you're going to be on the roads the entire day, might be for a little bit more than that. All the best with that as well. Advocate Makhosini Msibi, the Road Traffic Management Corporation's CEO, they're joining us as traffic volumes are anticipated to rise as people come back from their festive holidays.